When I was 18, I picked up a street kid, a little rebel with no one to care for her. I tried so hard for the longest time, but I could never manage to melt her heart. Later on, when his true love finally appeared, that was when I realized he actually had a tender side. It's just that I wasn't the one he was showing it to. The day I finally let go, I told a little white lie. I said I'd be right back. And then I never came back again. 7 years later, we ran into each other on set. He's an award-winning star now, and he grabbed onto me again. Right back, huh? Where the hell did you actually go? My palms were sweating. I was so nervous. The newly crowned superstar Bai Ningbing was just 5 meters behind me. If I turned around, I'd be staring right at him. Teacher Bai, the next scene is about reuniting with your ex. You need to show longing and attachment. Bai Ningbing let out a soft, mocking laugh. Longing, I don't think that fits. They're an ex for a reason. What's left to be attached to? His voice was just as cold and detached as it used to be. Back when I was 18, that was the exact same tone. He'd used to call me Xiao Yu, sometimes gentle, sometimes heavy. The discussion behind me was still going on. I didn't quite hear what the director said, but Bai Ningbing's distant voice pierced right through my ears. I forgot about my ex a long time ago. I'm not the type to go back to a dead-end relationship. Being that dead-end person he was talking about, I had no intention of letting him recognize me either. Once the scene was finished, we'd go our separate ways. I was thinking exactly that, when a coworker suddenly shouted, "Xiao Yu! Did you find the props?" Everything behind me went completely silent. I grabbed the props and scrambled away as fast as I could. Bai Ningbing didn't chase after me. Maybe he hadn't heard it. Or maybe just maybe he had, but I didn't really care. While we were setting up the studio, I told my coworker, "Hey, next time just call me Xiaofeng. Don't call me Xiao Yu anymore." Why Xiao Yu sounds so pretty though? Does Xiaofeng sound more professional or something? My coworker burst out laughing and actually bought that excuse. This was my very first project as an assistant director. I'd known since before I joined the crew that the lead actress was Bai Ningbing. She's a total celebrity Nepo baby, with half the industry's resources at her fingertips. And to top it off, she can actually act. She bagged the Best Actress award by the age of 25. And as luck would have it, I happened to be her first love. I'd hesitated about taking the job, but in the end I didn't want to let go of such a great career opportunity, so I came. I swore to myself, you cannot let her find out it's you. If she does, I'm completely doomed. Because 7 years ago, our breakup was a total disaster. In my goodbye letter, I wrote, "I knew you were a Nepo baby all along. I only got close to you to dig up dirt on your family. Honestly, I never liked some stuck-up rich girl like you. I prefer someone gentle. Don't ever see me again." My words were so cold and detached, but the way I ran away was pathetic. I have no idea how Bai Ningbing felt after reading that letter. But she's the type who holds a grudge for everything. If she ever catches me, my career might just get blacklisted for good. Bai Ningbing is even more stunning in person than on screen. Her genetics are just unfair. Well, don't forget who her parents are. They were both legendary movie stars. Even if she didn't try, she'd still look better than the rest of us. But I love Bai Ningbing's vibe. She's so elegant and refined. She must have been the school goddess back in her day, right? I almost choked on my drink. Bai Ningbing was a school goddess. Absolutely not. She wasn't just not the school goddess, and still that big sister figure that everyone avoids like the plague. I'll never forget the first time I saw him. It was pouring rain. People were rushing past on the street, but he was just sitting there on the side of the road, not moving a muscle like a corpse. It wasn't until I got close that he finally looked up. His tone back then was vicious, "Get lost." But I didn't get lost. Instead, I held an umbrella over him. And that was how it all started between me and Bai Ningbing. I shook my head, trying to chase those memories out of my brain. The studio was way too noisy. I ducked into the stairwell to get away, but the second I pushed the door open, I saw Bai Ningbing standing there in the shadows. He glared at me coldly. It was just like back then. The stairwell was dark and dead silent. I lowered my head and started to leave, but Bai Ningbing stopped me. "What kind of work do you do?" "I'm the director's assistant." Getting to be Director Zhang's assistant right after graduation. Not bad at all. "Thank you, Mr. Bai." "How old are you?" 25. He let out a soft laugh and said lazily, "We're the same age." "Then why do you call me teacher?" "The assistant director calls you Teacher Bai too." "He's 43. Why don't you say it again?" I gritted my teeth and muttered, "Teacher Bai." I couldn't see his face clearly in the darkness, but he seemed to curl the corners of his lips. It was that kind of cold, empty smile, the kind devoid of any real feeling. It gave me the creeps, but I still held on to a sliver of hope. There's no way he could recognize me. Compared to 7 years ago, I've practically turned into a different person. I went from a scrawny, sickly-looking kid to a guy people actually compliment for his looks now. Even my own relatives barely recognize me, let alone him, especially in the dark. "Mr. Bai, you should get some rest. I'll head back now." "Wait." He called out to me again. "What's your name?" "Has Feng Chen ever used any other names?" "No." Bai Ningbing went silent. A cold sweat broke out all over me. I used to be called Fang Chen. Later, I changed my name to Fang Xiaoyu. He had lied to me before. So now if I lied to him once, we'd be even. During the summer break of my first year of high school, I found Bai Ningbing on a street corner. He told me he had nowhere else to go, that he had no family. I believed him. I thought he was just like me, a poor kid that nobody wanted. When I was little, after my mom and dad got divorced, they both started new families, and each had another son. Neither of them wanted me. I was sent to live in the basement at my aunt's house. I've always been well behaved since I was little, because if I was good enough, at least I'd get fed. Bai Ningbing and I were two completely different people. I was introverted and quiet. Besides studying, I didn't know anything else. In our second year of high school, Bai Ningbing and I were placed in the same class. Nobody knew what his family did for a living. There were even rumors that he had no parents and no place to call home. At school, we were like total strangers. But nobody knew that. Every single night, Bai Ningbing would knock on the basement window. I'd clear out a small spot on the floor for him to sleep on. Then before anyone in my aunt's house woke up the next day, he would leave early, as if he had never been there at all. Bai Ningbing often skipped class, and he was always getting hurt. Every time I would bandage him up, he'd say, "Fang Xiaoyu, can't you be a little gentler? Call me Xiaoyu." Xiaoyu? Can't you just be a little gentler? Xiaoyu was the nickname I went by. It was a name given to me by my late grandmother. Compared to Fang Xiaoyu, I actually prefer this name. Because Bai Ningbing was always coming over to sleep on my floor, I subconsciously felt like he had it even worse than I did. Besides, I ended up under a strange illusion. Whenever I forgot my textbook in class and got grilled by the teacher, Bai Ningbing would walk from the very back row all the way to the front and just drop his own book onto my desk. Even though I'm a guy, I hit my growth spurt late, so I was always on the shorter side. Kids from other classes used to bully me all the time. But whenever I was wronged and didn't know how to fight back, Bai Ningbing would always step in front of me. He'd say he's under my protection. I mistakenly thought we were two of a kind looking out for each other. It wasn't until much later that I realized there was never any looking out for each other at all. Bai Ningbing is a trust fund kid, a second-generation elite. His family has countless properties and luxury sports cars. A single pair of his shoes costs more than all the clothes I wore in a season. I was just a tool he used to get under his family's skin. When did I finally figure it out? It was around the day Lu Jingnian showed up. My train of thought was cut short. Back at the film studio, a cup of milk tea was shoved into my hands. Lu Jingnian had come to visit the set again. "I kept some milk warm for you in the microwave. Look over there." A wealthy hunk and an A-list actress standing together, they're a perfect match. I looked toward the distance. Bai Ningbing had his head tilted, listening to Lu Jingnian talk right beside him. Just like everyone else, I couldn't take my eyes off such a beautiful sight. Suddenly, it was like Bai Ningbing sensed it and he looked right at me. I immediately looked down. But when I glanced up again, he wasn't looking at me anymore. It was as if it had all just been in my head. "Bing Bing, after you wrap up filming, come with me to Paris for the fashion show." His tone and the way he spoke were exactly the same as they were 7 years ago. I couldn't help but fall into deep thought. Back in high school, Bai Ningbing and I kept our relationship strictly platonic. It wasn't until the summer after graduation that we finally got together. Ningbing wasn't exactly passionate, but she didn't push me away either. It's just that she could never bring herself to say anything sweet or tender. Yet in some ways, she was a perfect girlfriend. She was attentive and thoughtful, and she always knew how to make me look good in front of others. But she never once took me to meet her friends. There was one time I went to Taikyu City to visit her, hoping to surprise her. Instead, she just kept a straight face and said irritably, "Don't ever come here again." At the time, I didn't think much of it. I just assumed that was her personality. That was until Lu Jingnian showed up. He was dressed in an expensive suit, hair perfectly styled, looking like a beam of light breaking into my world. "Ningbing, what are you doing all the way out here? I just bought a Ferrari. Want me to take you for a spin?" The word Ferrari nearly made me drop my jaw. Lu Jingnian looked at me with wide, confused eyes. "Ningbing, who is this guy?" "Hi there, I'm Bai Ningbing's boyfriend." "Are you joking? There's no way someone like her would ever go for you. I'm her future husband. Our families have an arranged marriage agreement." "Who said that?" Bai Ningbing shoved Lu Jingnian away with a dark look on her face. "As for that engagement agreement, I never agreed to it." Her explanation felt incredibly hollow. It wasn't until her parents came looking for me later that I realized she was a second-generation heir, and not just any average one at that. Her family practically owned half of the entertainment industry, and it turned out Ningbing didn't have a great relationship with her parents. He intentionally transferred from his elite private school to this regular public high school. He even went out of his way to avoid going home. His parents were always away for work. They really didn't pay much attention to their daughter. They had no clue what she was getting up to every single day. At the very end of our conversation that day, her dad turned to me and said, "Xiaofang, there's something you might not realize. Even though Bai Bingbing is a girl, she's extremely rebellious. She's only with you to get under our skin. It's not because she genuinely likes you. She's pulled this kind of stunt plenty of times before. If you don't believe me, just watch how she acts around Jingnian. The person she actually likes is Jingnian. It's just that those two grew up together. so she hasn't even realized her own feelings yet. Xiaofeng, you and our family just aren't on the same level. Soon after I realized her dad wasn't lying to me, even though she'd claimed to be annoyed by him. Bai Bingbing was always incredibly patient with Lu Jingnian. One time, just a second ago, Lu Jingnian was still laughing, but the moment Bai Bingbing showed up, his face instantly shifted into this wronged expression. Bingbing, Fang Xiaoyu just said she was going to hit me. Xiaoyu, I've told you before, stop picking fights with him. In that moment it finally hit me. Bai Bingbing wasn't incapable of love. She just wouldn't open up for me. At the end of August, I accepted the conditions set by Bai Bingbing's parents. I would study abroad with their financial sponsorship. Given my situation, this was likely the only chance I'd ever have to go overseas. On the day I left, I told Bai Bingbing I wanted to go buy some chocolate. Out of habit, she pulled out her wallet to buy the most expensive one. I didn't take it and said, I don't need your money. I'll be right back. Okay, I'll wait for you. And then I never went back. Just as her parents had demanded, I left behind a cold, heartless breakup letter, effectively killing any hope she had of us. That first love, which was only supposed to last 3 months, quietly withered away as autumn arrived. I changed my name and hit the gym hard with my high school classmates. Back then, I was a total wallflower, and I was bullied by my classmates all the time. I cherished the hard-earned opportunity to study, and I even started working out and learning how to dress myself better. With my name and appearance both changed, and with Bai Ningbing's parents deliberately keeping things under wraps, there was no way for him to find me. In his eyes, I might as well have been dead. But I still heard plenty about what he was up to. Apparently, after I left, he decided to repeat his final year, got into the Beijing Film Academy, and made his debut. His career has been smooth sailing ever since. On camera, he's so gentle and elegant, and his charming smile just makes all his fans swoon. You wouldn't recognize him as the same person from back then at all. I guess people really do change. I know I have. When the workday finally ended, I was absolutely exhausted and aching all over, but my coworker looked like she'd just had a massive caffeine hit. Oh my god, look at this, it's stunning. The inner thoughts of the lead in 100-Year Soldier are trending. I leaned over to take a look. It was a candid shot that had everyone buzzing. In this scene, Bai Ningbing's character is supposed to be bumping into an ex. Look at his eyes, the acting is just incredible. He really brought the lead character to life. In the photo, Bai Ningbing is just staring quietly ahead, looking so poised and graceful in every movement, yet deep in his eyes there's this burning crimson fire, wild and completely unhinged. What scared me even more was the edge of the photo. That blurred figure in the background exactly where he's looking. It was me. On the day of the shoot, the male lead had some kind of emergency and had to be rushed to the hospital. This was a crucial scene between the two leads, and it was something that couldn't be delayed. The director was panicking, and in the end he decided we needed to find a body double. Get Bai Ningbing's shots filmed first. Bai Ningbing insisted on picking her own stand-in. I was standing on the very edge of the crowd, yet Bai Ningbing's gaze happened to land right on me. Him, I'm in a hurry. The director didn't have a single objection. In fact, he rushed me to hurry up and change into the male lead's costume. I only needed to show my back, really. But just to avoid any inconsistencies on camera, the makeup artist still gave me a full touch-up. When I stood in front of Bai Ningbing, he had a split second of looking dazed. Bai Ningbing asked if I was nervous because I'd never acted before. You don't need to act. Just listen to me. He paused, then added, relax. If you're nervous, your body will be stiff. It won't look natural on film. All right, I can try some deep breathing to calm down. Thank you, Mr. Bai. In a moment when the camera is on me, you just need to listen to my lines. And also, Bai Ningbing didn't finish his sentence. I looked up wondering, and also what? And where is my chocolate? He said it word by word. A hint of something sharp flashed in the depths of his eyes. Not hiding his intentions at all, he slowly reached out his hand. Xiaoyu, it's been 7 years. You should have bought it by now, right? I'm finished. That was my first thought. I'm afraid Bai Ningbing must have recognized me a long time ago. It just so happened that this scene was the female lead's heartfelt confession to the male lead after a long separation. For a moment I was dazed, thinking that was what he actually wanted to say to me. But how could that be? In reality, Bai Ningbing had never once said a romantic word to me. After filming, the director gave me a thumbs up. Xiaofeng, you've got a real talent for acting. The look in your eyes just now was spot on. Is there any chance that both of us were just acting like ourselves? For the next few scenes, Bai Ningbing specifically requested that I be the one to work with him. My head was spinning. Bai Ningbing's attitude was becoming complicated. Even the director doesn't dare to get on his bad side. If I just accept my fate now, how am I supposed to get my revenge? I started out as an assistant, just a shell of a person, and then I was promoted to a personal handler, specifically Bai Ningbing's personal handler. I have to revolve around him for 18 hours a day, but I do way more than just handle his schedule. For instance, when the crew needs to move heavy props, I just barely roll up my sleeves, and he'll grab me to go buy him a boba tea. And it's not just the tea. He orders tons of snacks too. Even though food delivery is an option, he insists that I be the one to go pick it up. But honestly speaking, my coworkers are all so jealous of me because I get to go out and wander around on the clock. But by the time I get back with the snacks, Bai Ningbing doesn't even want them anymore. After working under Bai Ningbing for a week like this, I've actually gained weight. As time went on, even my colleagues started getting curious. Is he buying those snacks for you on purpose? No way, but he really is way too indulgent with you. Bai Ningbing is usually incredibly strict. His company has money invested in this project after all. He's chewed out the assistant directors before no problem, but he has never once scolded you. That's not true. It's a miracle he doesn't torture me. I denied it immediately. The gossip in the production crew eventually reached Lu Jingnian. He hurried over to see me. So you're Bing Bing's new assistant. I couldn't help but correct him. I'm his handler. Someone so young. Are you even capable of doing the job? Young Master Lu, please don't judge a book by its cover. Lu Jingnian stared at me for a long time. Have I met you somewhere before? You're probably mistaken. I had zero interest in catching up with some pampered young master. I just went back to organizing my schedule. Lu Jingnian scoffed. I've seen plenty of people like you on these sets. Don't go thinking just because Bing Bing is giving you more responsibility that you've got a chance to climb the corporate ladder. I suggest you remember your place. Otherwise, when it all falls apart, you'll be the one left crying. What are you talking about? You look a bit like Bing Bing's ex-boyfriend. After Lu Jinian said that, he waited for my reaction expecting me to be shocked or heartbroken, but I just looked at him confused. So what? She's only using you because she sees you as a substitute. It's not like she actually values your talent. Bing Bing hates that man, so don't you get too full of yourself. I put down the work in my hands and smiled at him. If she hates him, why would she even want a substitute? That doesn't make any sense. Lu Jinian was speechless. After he left, I couldn't settle my mind. So Bai Ningbing really hates me. I knew it. That night, Bai Ningbing suddenly messaged me, asking me to bring her some medicine, sticking to the golden rule of never offend the lead actress. I bought the meds and went up to her place. I thought Bai Ningbing was just trying to give me a hard time, but she was genuinely sick. Beads of sweat as big as peas were rolling down her forehead. What's wrong with you? My stomach hurts. Where's your assistant? She went into the city and won't make it back in time. That's strange. Bai Ningbing never used to have stomach issues. What happened to your stomach? I didn't eat properly back when I was studying for my retakes. Why didn't you eat? No one ever saved any food for me. Her eyes were closed as she looked at me. This reminded me of when Bai Ningbing used to sleep on the floor at my place. I'd always save a little food for her. By the time I finished my homework, she would have already eaten every last bit. The cafeteria food was just as awful, and she was still just as stubborn. I noticed a table full of food. It was still steaming hot. I had a stomachache and couldn't eat a thing, which was such a waste. Every day I have to settle for the film crew's catering. I'm literally dying of hunger over here. You eat it, he said, sounding like he didn't really care. It's a waste to just let it sit there. If you're not going to eat it, just toss it out for me. I snapped open a pair of disposable chopsticks and sat down at the table. I ate in complete silence. The room was quiet too. I thought Bai Ningbing had fallen asleep. When I turned my head, he was staring right at me. There was even a hint of a smile on his lips. But as soon as our eyes met, his smile vanished. He went right back to looking like the whole world owed him a debt. He hadn't changed a bit. We just sat there in our usual silence, neither of us saying a word. It wasn't until I was about to leave that he suddenly spoke up. Lu Jinian and I have absolutely no relationship. There wasn't one in the past. There isn't one now, and there definitely won't be one in the future. I gave a polite nod. But Mr. Bai, I really don't care anymore. That sentence kept Bai Ningbing in a foul mood for days. Whatever. We were wrapping up filming soon anyway, but just a few days before the end, a pretty major accident happened. While recording audio for a scene on the water, I had to step away to use the restroom. I paused my work, stood on the edge of the deck, and held a boom mic that was longer than I was tall. My balance was a bit off. I was swaying back and forth. When a huge gust of wind hit, I couldn't steady myself and fell right off the boat. There was a lake down below, and the thing is I can't swim. In the chaos, I heard someone shout my name, Xiao Yun. Bai Ningbing jumped straight in after me. He grabbed onto me looking terrified. It felt like he would never let go again. After that, I don't remember a thing. I woke up in a strange room. There was a handwritten note on the nightstand. This is my place. It's not far from the filming set. I already cleared your schedule. Just rest for a few days. If you need to change, there are some new men's clothes in the walk-in closet. Looking at the place, it was clearly Bai Ningbing's. Many actors have apartments near the filming base. Bai Ningbing is no exception. I remember reading the gossip columns. They said he stays here most of the time. The place was spotless. I walked into the walk-in closet. The first thing that caught my eye was a black umbrella. It was the exact one I had held for Bai Ningbing all those years ago. The umbrella was old now, and honestly the quality wasn't even that great. Yet it was placed right in the center of the closet. I suddenly recalled that day the pouring rain. I used that umbrella to shield us from the storm. Bai Ningbing kept trying to chase me away. I don't know where I found the nerve, but I pulled back his sleeve to check his wound. He looked like he wanted to snap at me, but he held it back. At least it doesn't need a hospital. You stay here, I'm going to get some medicine. I'll be right back. I shoved the umbrella into his hand and said, just take it. 10 minutes later, I returned just as I promised. I brought medicine and some food. The heavy rain had soaked me to the bone, looking like a drowned rat. He watched me in silence. From that day on, Bai Ningbing never said another harsh word to me. Later I found out, he was actually completely stunned that day. No one had ever come back for him before. I was the first. My memories faded as I came back to the present. I found some clothes and started to slowly get changed. I hadn't even finished putting on my shirt yet. The closet door suddenly swung open. Bai Ningbing and I just stared at each other. It was pretty awkward. Bai Ningbing quickly stepped back and closed the door so I could get dressed. Why didn't you make a sound? I asked. I thought you'd left again. Don't be so harsh, I said, and Bai Ningbing froze for a second. All the fire in her eyes vanished. This line used to work like a charm. Whenever she started to lose her temper, I'd just calmly say, don't be so harsh, and she'd back down. I didn't expect it to still work now. I haven't even started blaming you yet, I continued. Why didn't you knock before coming into the dressing room? I didn't know you were in there. Her face turned bright red. I didn't see anything okay. If you're that upset, I can apologize. I'm sorry. I realized back then that even though Bai Ningbing had a stubborn and tough personality, he was surprisingly innocent when it came to certain things. It's fine, I'm just a bit tired. I spoke without thinking. It's not like you haven't seen it before. As soon as I said it, I realized it wasn't the right thing to say. Sure enough, Bai Ningbing pursed her lips and turned red from her face all the way down to her neck. I quickly changed the subject. No filming for you today. Since you're done, I'll go make some porridge. Make sure you take your medicine in a bit. Because I fell into the water, I caught a bit of a cold. When Bai Ningbing brought the porridge over, she was still wearing an apron. I couldn't help but take an extra look. You look surprisingly gentle in an apron. What did you say? I said thank you. Bai Ningbing's eyes lit up, but her tone remained feisty. Just finish all the food. Don't you dare waste it. Is there anything else you want to eat? I guess I can force myself to make it for you if I have to. No need to go through the trouble, just do your own thing. I don't have any scenes tomorrow morning anyway. I'm not going back to cook tonight. I've got time to prep the food instead. Plus you're sleeping here tonight. I'll move into the guest room. There isn't an extra bed in the guest room. Since you're sick, just stay in bed and rest. Stop wearing yourself out. Bai Ningbing pointed toward the floor. Same as always, I'll just sleep on the floor. My fever spiked again in the middle of the night. Bai Ningbing barely slept a wink. Every so often he'd change the towel on my forehead. When you're burning up like that, it's easy to start hallucinating. In a daze, I felt like I was back in that tiny basement again. Bai Ningbing was sleeping on the floor, keeping his distance, staying several meters away as if avoiding me. We had a whole desk sitting between us. I looked over and could only see his thin, bony back. Once when Bai Ningbing got sick, he tried to tough it out without saying a word. I noticed something was wrong in the middle of the night. When I got up, his forehead was burning hot. I found some fever meds and spent the night wiping his face over and over. Bai Ningbing suddenly reached out and grabbed my hand. He held on for a good while, terrified I might leave. He only let go once he finally drifted off to sleep. That was the closest contact I ever had with him, before we graduated. Most of the time we were like total strangers. Even at school, we'd just pass each other by. I spent the whole night in a hazy, feverish blur. When I woke up the next morning, Bai Ningbing was already gone. He'd been called away last minute for a shift. But there was a meal already prepared on the table. Right in the center was a box of chocolates. The really expensive kind. I was halfway through the meal when someone walked in. At first I thought Bai Ningbing was back, but it was a woman I didn't recognize. Though she looked familiar, it was Bai Ningbing's manager, and also his close friend. The manager just stared at me blankly, saying, "Oh my." I tried explaining every which way, but it was no use. I'm just a crew member, that's all. What's your name? You can just call me Fang Xiaoyu. He was so startled he nearly jumped out of his skin. Fang Xiaoyu, you mean? Feng Xiaoyu? He looked at me, a sudden realization dawning on him. It's really you, Xiaoyu. Seeing my confused expression, he asked, what's wrong? He went on to say, Bai Ningbing has been searching for you like a madman. When he couldn't find you, he completely gave up on himself. He wouldn't eat, he wouldn't sleep. He hit rock bottom, total despair. But now, thank goodness, he's finally found you. He can finally rest easy. It's been 7 years. He doesn't have to keep torturing himself anymore. You must be joking. I only dated him for 3 months. I doubt I'm that unforgettable. How can you say that? Don't you know Bai Ningbing only became a star because of you, because of his parents' background? He's always hated the celebrity life since he was a kid. Even when his family tried to push him into the industry earlier, he turned them down every single time. But right after you two broke up, he suddenly announced he wanted to be a star. He said it was because you loved movies. He thought if he became a star, he could stand in this brightest, highest place so you'd be able to see him. Froze in my tracks. There was actually some truth to that. One night I couldn't get to sleep, so I started chatting with him. Hey, classmate Bai. Are you awake? I watched a movie today, The Shawshank Redemption. It was so good, though you're probably not interested. I want to make movies someday. But that must cost a fortune, right? Too bad I'm broke. Making movies doesn't have to cost that much. At the time, I just thought he had no idea what he was talking about. Just a total daydreamer. And then there was no more talk. The manager couldn't help but sigh, realizing that he still remembered everything. 3 months, that was all it took for him to stay on his mind for a lifetime. That afternoon, Bai Ningbing came back. He asked his manager, "What are you here for?" "You're wrapping up filming, so I'm here to help clean up, obviously." "No need, you should go. Besides, I'm taking a break for a while. Don't schedule any gigs for me." "Prioritizing your love life over your friends, huh? Do you still remember how you couldn't find him before? And you were sobbing uncontrollably right in front of me." Bai Ningbing interrupted awkwardly, feeling uncomfortable. "Don't bring that up in front of my boyfriend." I corrected him. "Ex-boyfriend. If you didn't break up with me to my face, it doesn't count. I wrote you a letter." "A letter, that's it." I threw it away the second I read it. "How do I even know if you were the one who wrote it?" Seeing the situation, the manager slipped away. "Weren't you angry when you read that letter? I said I was going to leak all your dirty secrets. You don't have the guts. Besides, do you really think I can't check the news myself to see if there's any dirt on me?" I was left speechless. Bai Ningbing went to wash some fruit. I continued, "It only takes one person to agree to a breakup. Whether you accept it or not. We haven't been a couple for a long time." Bai Ningbing stiffened. He turned around to look at Fang Xiaoyu. "So it's useless for me to chase after you." "Bai Ningbing, are you angry with me? Is it because I lied to you? Because I didn't tell you about my background? Or is it because of Lu Jinian? I didn't explain things to you in time." "It's both, and yet it's neither, Bai Ningbing. We aren't on the same path. Don't force it." The room fell into a deathly silence. I don't know how much time passed. With bloodshot eyes, he looked aggrieved and said, "I'm going to force it." I didn't take what Bai Ningbing said to heart. After filming wrapped, I took a trip back to my hometown. My aunt's old house was slated for demolition. She called me over to help clear out the furniture. Even though my aunt used to play favorites with her own kids, she did raise me after all. I'm not the type to bite the hand that feeds me. On the way back, I passed by my old high school. The campus had been renovated a few years ago and looked completely different. I stood by the school gate for a moment, when suddenly someone called out, "Hey, you're that, who is it?" "I remember you." A woman walked out of the janitor's room. She looked about my age. "You were at this school, right? I remember you were in the same class as Bai Ningbing, weren't you?" I nodded. I used to get into arguments with Bai Ningbing. By the way, why are you alone today? Where's Bai Ningbing? Doesn't he always follow you around?" I was stunned. "Follow me around, really? Every single night after evening study hall? Bai Ningbing would follow right behind you, watching over you until you got home. You didn't know?" I couldn't believe it. "You're telling me this is true?" The girl continued. "That time you two had that big fight?" He suddenly called it off halfway through, saying class was over and he had to head back to school. I thought it was super strange at the time. Like him actually going back to school? So I followed him? Turns out he just waited and waited at the gate. As soon as you walked out, he followed behind you. And he didn't come find me until he saw you got home safely. I only found out later that he was afraid he'd offended someone and that it would put you in danger. So he made it his mission to keep you safe. The girl pointed toward a phoenix tree in the corner. He would just stand right there waiting for you. The 17-year-old Bai Ningbing loved wearing black, always blending in with the dead of night. A gust of wind blows by, and it's like she's standing right there. My aunt called to urge me to hurry. When I arrived, they were clearing out the basement, and I said, "The bed I used to sleep in, the desk I used to use, I had decided to move everything out. Xiaoyu, I found something. You need to come here." He pointed to a corner of the floor. It was covered in carvings of my name. That girl carved those, didn't she? The one who became a celebrity. "How did you know?" "Oh, honey, she came to look for me." "When do you remember?" "I found something here back then. And I gave you such a lecture. I remember how stubborn you were back then. I didn't even want to talk to you. You refused to tell the truth no matter what, insisting that it was all yours. But I knew you weren't that kind of kid." Thinking back to the past, my aunt seemed to miss that day she scolded me. That girl was right there at the window. She saw the whole thing. Later she found me in private, knelt down in front of me to admit her mistake, and begged me not to blame you. I gripped the corner of my shirt, my breathing slowing down. "I was afraid she was a bad influence on you, so I strictly forbade her from coming over to sleep on the floor ever again." So that was it. Just as my second year of high school was ending, Bai Ningbing stopped coming over to mooch off us. She told me she had found a place to stay. In reality, she was just afraid of affecting my future. The worn-out marks on the floor meant that Bai Ningbing must have had many sleepless nights too. Bai Ningbing never said a word, yet in her heart she was calling out my name thousands and thousands of times. The day before the demolition, I walked from the school gate back to my aunt's house one last time. This familiar little path, under the thick canopy of sycamore trees, I walked all the way to the end of the road and spotted that tiny basement window. As if by some kind of telepathy, I turned back around, and there was Bai Ningbing standing across the street with a face mask on. 20 minutes later, we were sitting down at that old restaurant we used to frequent. I hadn't picked up his calls ever since we wrapped up filming. I never expected him to track me down here. Right next door was that old pool hall. I watched people coming and going as I tested the waters. Suddenly, I just really needed an answer. Bai Ningbing, I came looking for you that summer, remember? You were so impatient with me back then. You pushed me away. Do you have any idea how much that hurt? Bai Ningbing looked completely caught off guard for a second. I wasn't being impatient. I was just terrified and anxious at the time. That pool hall wasn't exactly a safe place to be, and the people I was meeting that day, they were bad news. Those girls had been trying to set me up for ages. When you showed up out of nowhere, I was scared to death. I was just so afraid they'd target you too. Bai Ningbing furrowed his brows deeply as he tried to recall the moment. I'm so sorry. I was just so on edge that I made you misunderstand me. Just then, the owner called out our number. I asked Bai Ningbing to go grab us some water. In the brief moment while he was gone, I found myself surrounded by a group of women. Hey handsome, give us your digits, won't you? Was that your girlfriend just now? What's with the mask eating in a mask? Is he sick or something? Beat it. I shot them a cold, icy glare. Get lost. Oh wow. Feisty, aren't we? Do you even know who runs things around here? The leader of the group reached out trying to lay a hand on me. The next second she let out a painful shriek. I had twisted her wrist back with a fierce grip. I don't hit women. Right at that moment, Bai Ningbing is back and he's not going to back down. If he won't fight, I will. Bai Ningbing has completely dropped his disguise and his fake persona. He is radiating pure raw energy. I stare at him stunned. It's him, the Bai Ningbing I used to know, is finally back. I have no doubt that Bai Ningbing could take all four of them on at once. He could easily knock every single one of them to the ground. But I have to stop him. His status is delicate right now. He can't afford to get into a fight. But Bai Ningbing is so stubborn. He's glaring at the four of them, dead set on getting some justice. He really wants to settle this. Bai Ningbing, don't be like this, I say, pulling on his hand. Bai Ningbing freezes instantly. It's as if his whole being was just washed clean. All his strength just drains away. Even his sharp, guarded edges soften up. Fine, he says, forget it then. Bai Ningbing, let's run. Bai Ningbing grabs my hand and interlocks his fingers with mine. We take off sprinting into the distance. We weave through the streets and the crowds of people. We just keep running and running. We don't feel a hint of fatigue. My heart is pounding so loudly it's all I can hear. Thump, thump, thump. The last time I heard this sound, it was because of this same person sparking that youthful flutter in my heart. And in this moment, he feels just like that stubborn, spirited girl I used to know. We run all the way to my aunt's place. We duck inside the basement. It's completely empty in here. It's just waiting to be torn down tomorrow. There isn't even a working light bulb left. Just the moonlight spilling in as the light rain falls outside. We both start to speak at the same time, then agree that I should go first. You used to walk me home every single day back then. Yeah, well, I had a bad temper back then and kept making enemies. I couldn't rest easy knowing you were walking home alone. Why didn't you just tell me back then? What was the point of telling you? He smiles and says, you were the one with a future, you had college exams to study for. You just needed to focus on your studies. Everything else I told myself I'd handle all of that. I point down at the carvings on the floor. Then what does all this mean? It means I like you. I paused for a moment. You never said that when we were 18. Bai Ningbing lowered her eyes and spoke slowly, because back then I didn't know how to say it. Bai Ningbing's past is a bit complicated. He had parents, but it was as if they didn't exist. Growing up in such a cold and different environment, no one ever taught him how to love someone, and no one told him how to express that love either. Bai Ningbing used to think that being there whenever I called, or spending money on me was his way of saying I love you. He was actually happy when I made the first move to confess, but because he wasn't used to being loved, and wasn't used to intimacy, he just came off as very passive. Bai Ningbing even practiced saying I like you in the mirror, but it felt so awkward. He just couldn't bring himself to say it out loud, so he decided to write it down instead. He learned from other girls and folded 1,000 paper cranes, writing I like you inside every single one. He had planned to give them to me on my birthday. It's a shame that day never came. Later, as he acted in different roles and experienced different lives, he finally learned how to express himself, but the person he wanted to tell was already gone. After a moment of silence, I continued and asked, what about Lu Jinian? Bai Ningbing shook his head. I was only good to him because he once saved my life. Back when I was a kid, my parents didn't care about me, and he was the only one who would always come over to play. One time when I had a high fever, he was the first to notice. He cried and made such a scene, grabbing the adults' attention, that they finally realized I was sick. The doctor said that if they had come any later, I would have suffered permanent brain damage. Recalling the past, Bai Ningbing gave a self-deprecating laugh. Ever since then, so I agreed to his terms. I treated him like my own brother. I took good care of him. For all these years, I truly saw him as a brother. But that summer, there was another engine at play. Lu Jingnian threatened me, saying that if I didn't bring him along, he'd go straight to my parents and rat me out. He'd make them absolutely despise you. My parents have always trusted Lu Jingnian implicitly. If he twisted the truth and stirred up drama, it would be really bad for you. Besides, I didn't exactly trust my parents' character either. If they took their anger out on you, they might have worked behind the scenes to make sure you couldn't even get into college. It suddenly hit me, so that's why you told me to steer clear of him. Exactly, Bai Ningbing said, knowing I was talking about that incident. Lu Jingnian claimed you framed him, but I didn't believe a single word of it. Back then, I just hoped that you wouldn't have anything to do with him. I didn't even want you to speak to him. That was the only way to keep you safe. He looked a bit dejected. I never imagined I'd cause such a deep misunderstanding. Actually, you could have just asked me directly. Thinking back on the past, my heart was flooded with mixed emotions. He didn't know how to love someone properly. But did I? No, I didn't know how either. Having been abandoned by my own birth parents one after another, I had lost the courage to question anything. In my world, the only way to get a rare word of praise, the only way to avoid being abandoned again, was to study hard and work until I dropped. So when facing Bai Ningbing, I would rather die of heartache than dare to question him, not even by a single word. I didn't even dare to lose my temper. Not knowing how to love, that was a flaw we both shared. The moonlight was as clear as water, but there was still one more thing. I told Bai Ningbing that I was going abroad. Was it your parents who set that up? I figured as much. Actually, I could have chosen not to go, but that might have been my only chance to study abroad. I was selfish for once. I saw Bai Ningbing smile. It was incredibly tender, like a light drizzle. You're too kind-hearted. I really wish you were a little more selfish, so you wouldn't get hurt by the outside world. From now on, I'm going to focus on my career too. No problem, I'll follow your lead. You're an award-winning actress. Your future is limitless. Why follow me? Even the fact that I became an actress was all because of you. But we only dated for 3 months. But my feelings for you have lasted much longer than 3 months. Bai Ningbing really doesn't mess around when it comes to taking action. A misunderstanding. The day after we cleared the air, he posted a public announcement on Weibo. He even tagged me saying 3 months in exchange for a lifetime. The trending topics almost crashed. The entire internet was glued to the drama. I was worried that Bai Ningbing's parents would give him a hard time, but I had worried for nothing. Bai Ningbing is 25 years old. Even if his parents didn't approve, what could they really do? With a personality like his, they wouldn't be able to control him at all. Or perhaps 7 years ago, they already couldn't control him. That's why they targeted me instead. I had only lost because of my own lack of confidence. After Bai Ningbing went public, someone else started trending too. That same day, Lu Jingnian found me looking furious. I was wondering where I'd seen you before. So you're Fang Xiaoyu? Yeah, so what? Break up with Bing Bing right now. I'm the one who's actually engaged to him. I opened my mouth, but the words died on my lips. Bai Ningbing had arrived. He was standing right behind Lu Jingnian. What else is Lu Jingnian trying to provoke? Have you seen what they're saying online? Everyone is calling you a kept man, saying you're the one stepping between me and Bai Ningbing. If you don't want to lose your job, you better break up with him right now. Give that back to me. Since when did we have that kind of relationship? I have no idea what you're talking about. Bai Ningbing spoke up out of the blue. Lu Jingnian panicked, crying out, Bing Bing. Why have you let this broke loser trick you again? Watch your tone. Bai Ningbing slammed the table, her eyes filled with cold danger. You said you looked at me like a brother, so why are you losing your temper and acting like this? I've already been more than patient with you. A brother shouldn't be coveting any other position. Otherwise, we can't even stay friends. Lu Jingnian had never been talked to like that before. He flew into a rage, turning on Bai Ningbing. You've completely fallen for him, haven't you? I'm going to hold a press conference. Just you wait. There is no way he's going to shake that kept man label. First of all, there is zero written proof of any engagement between us. It was just a joke our parents made, and I've publicly denied it plenty of times. Bai Ningbing narrowed her eyes. Secondly, if you dare to go through with that conference, don't blame me for being ruthless. But this broke loser, he doesn't deserve you at all. Bai Ningbing suddenly looked at him with a hint of pity. Every other word out of your mouth is about money. Lu Jingnian, have you ever actually liked someone? Of course I like. No, wait. No, you don't. Bai Ningbing cut him off. What if my last name wasn't Bai? What if I didn't have celebrity parents? What if I were just some bottom-tier delinquent? Would you even look at me twice? Lu Jingnian froze. It was as if that thought had never even crossed his mind. If you saw me on a rainy day, sitting by the side of the road like that, would you hold an umbrella over me? Probably not. You'd probably just curse under your breath, calling me a piece of trash. You only loved my status, not who I actually am. You couldn't even bring yourself to accept that I used to be a delinquent. Bai Ningbing grabbed my hand and led me away. When I looked back, Lu Jingnian was still standing there frozen. He looked absolutely shell-shocked. I'm not sure if he finally got the point or not. But a week later, I heard that Lu Jingnian's press conference was going ahead as planned. Bai Ningbing didn't have the power to stop the conference, but he had made plenty of preparations to handle whatever crisis might come next. Only the press conference didn't go quite the way we expected. Lu Jingnian appeared in front of the cameras looking impeccably dressed. Yet he looked haggard and worn out. "I have an announcement to make today," he said. "There is no engagement between Bai Ningbing and me." The entire room erupted in gasps. Everyone had come hoping for some juicy scandal, like the movie queen cheating or something similar. Bai Ningbing and I grew up together because of our family's business ties, but she only ever saw me as an older brother, and I've only ever thought of her as a younger sister. The talk of an engagement was nothing but a rumor. Neither of us ever confirmed it, and our parents just mentioned it in passing. It was never serious. I have never been in love with Bai Ningbing, and she feels the same. I hope everyone will stop spreading these baseless rumors. As for Fang Xiaoyu, Lu Jingnian paused for a heartbeat, then said with a serious expression, "She was Bai Ningbing's first love. I was shallow and judged her by her appearance, and for that I am deeply sorry." The public opinion flipped in an instant. Netizens started digging up Lu Jingnian's past, focusing on his arrogant remarks, and the internet was buzzing with debate. But the silver lining is, all that PR stuff Bai Ningbing had prepared ended up being useless. I was so confused I couldn't figure out why he suddenly had such a change of heart. Bai Ningbing just gave me a cheeky grin. If he hadn't changed his ways, our two families wouldn't even be able to talk about future collaborations. Bai Ningbing is now the one calling all the shots in his family. He's got full control of their company too. Even Lu Jingnian had to swallow his pride and bow down for the sake of the partnership. Another 6 months went by. Bai Ningbing's father fell ill, and he couldn't keep working hard like he used to. His mother also cleared out most of her schedule, staying home to look after him. Meanwhile, look at Bai Ningbing. His career is just taking off smoother than ever. With all that power in his hands, the elders can't interfere with a single one of his decisions anymore. It's like a light bulb went off for him. He's a completely different person now. Whatever he felt he lacked before, that's exactly what he's trying to make up for now. Half of his social media posts are about me, and he's constantly bringing me up on TV shows. "I used to be a delinquent girl," he'd say, "but it was my boyfriend who pulled me out of the darkness and showed me a glimmer of light, but it left some lingering effects." The moment he can't find me, Bai Ningbing starts to panic. He's terrified that I'll just up and leave again. Sometimes in the middle of the night, he wakes up from a dream, clutching me so tightly he won't let go, just repeating my name over and over, Xiaoyu, Xiaoyu. To the outside world, he's that untouchable cold movie star, but when he's with me, he's such a baby. Hearing him call my name like that over and over, it reminds me of the carvings we left buried in the dust back then. When I was 27, Bai Ningbing and I went back to visit our old school. Youth is just like the seasons. They keep turning and turning. There will always be someone young, and always someone who doesn't know what to do with the first flutter of love. Outside our old classroom, there used to be this massive sycamore tree. We stood under it listening to the sound of students reading aloud. 7 years with Bai Ningbing. What if I don't come back? You'll come back. You're so heartless. You came back that day when it was pouring rain. That's why I believe you'll come back this time too. I am the only person in his life who has ever come back to him. And here we are, still standing under the classroom window. Bai Ningbing stood on her tiptoes and kissed me. "You, I love you." Back in high school, I picked up a girl who everyone else had cast aside, a little rebel. Today marks 10 years since I first found her, and it's also our very first day as a married couple. If anyone ever asks me in the future, what's the best love letter I've ever received, I'll tell them it was that little path on the way home from school. It was the nights we spent keeping each other company. It was